I get asked once in a while why a goofy physicist like myself would spend all that time getting a PhD in a hard science and then come online and start talking about books and things that don't associate it with hard science. Partially, it's because after you work on this stuff long enough, you don't really want to just talk about it all the time. I mean, I'm happy to. People have questions. I'm more than willing to sit down and try to give an answer. But it's nice to have interest outside of that particular set of things. And growing up as a kid, I read a lot. It was the 80s, and I was born in 72, so late 70s, early 80s, and into the late 80s. And even the 90s. I was a very avid reader, and I still am today. I let it go for a while I was in college, but I picked it back up later. And it hit me, especially after I started writing my own fiction novels, how many people actually still read? Because there was a time and a place where you would see people at airports and wherever there was two bookstores per mall, that carry around these funny things with paper in them and actually be reading. And you don't really see that. Well, okay, Kindle, got it. People read electronically, understood. And that's great. I have a Kindle myself. It's charging over there. But how many people are actually reading? Well, the National Endowment of the Arts every 5 years funds a study that a third party, neutral third party does, not politically oriented, to see how many people read. And in 2022, they polled adults and said, how many of you read at least one book last year? One book, just that's it. One book, any kind, don't care what it was. What did you read? 48.5% of people said they read one book that year. That was a 6.1% decline since 2012. So over 10 years, we lost 6%. And then they enhanced that to say, okay, how many people read a fiction book? So nonfiction counts, it's reading, right? Self-help, okay, got it. You read something, that's awesome. How many people read one book um, in 2022 fiction novel? 37.6 read one, and the numbers get much worse if you ask the question like two, three, four. So yeah, 37.6, which was down from 2012 where it was 45.2. So we're down to 37% of adults reading a book. And where do kids get the habit to do things? They see adults do it. I have kids, and my kids would probably not read a book if they didn't see dad carrying these things around. If dad didn't give them Kindles and say, recommend titles and say, hey, look, try this one, try that one. And who gives a shit, right? It's reading. Who gives a fuck? It's boring shit. It's for eggheads. It's for goofy scientists. Let them do it. Fuck it. I'll just watch. I'll wait for the movie, right? Well, the movie is not really ever the same, which is part of why I started my YouTube channel, is to discuss the sort of differences between the book and the movie. And I can get more detailed into that than I really care to sometimes. But my point on those transitions from book to screen is that those are different mediums, right? Those are completely different stories. Um, they may have some similarities to them, but they are not the same methodology of storytelling. So there's always big differences. Some slight exceptions to things like Harry Potter and a few others that were sort of one-offs, but overwhelmingly, the transition from one to the other is a much different world. Um, so why read the book, right? It takes too long. I'm busy. I got social media to look at. I'm going to doom scroll Twitter for 2 hours a night. I got flash games on my phone to play. Who gives a shit, right? Well, reading does enhance your critical thinking skills. It does enhance your creativity. And that's not me talking, that's Harvard surveys talking. Not just Harvard, it comes from many, many, many universities, many psychologists. It's really good for your mental health to often read fiction novels, because it does it's been shown to reduce your stress. If you read before bed, it's been shown, proven to give you a better night's sleep. People who read more are better at empathizing with others, um, especially when it comes to the critical skills side. We are starting to have a society where people lack critical thinking skills and lack creativity. And in a world where AI and automation can replace jobs that are not creative jobs, that are just sort of wrote, hey, I memorized how to do this and I'm just going to do the same thing over and over and over again, those are jobs that are on the shopping block, right? And even some creative jobs to a certain extent are. Even jobs like, paralegal is in jeopardy. Hey, go research this topic for me. Well, AI can kind of do that now, right? And you can do it faster. So when it comes to where are the jobs going to be in the next 20, 30 years, it's going to be in those critical thinking and creativity spaces that we are not really training people to do anymore. We're saying memorize this for a test, memorize that for a test. And then when people get out of school, we're not necessarily pushing, hey, pick up a fiction novel and read something because mom and dad don't do it. Why should the kids do it? So the kids go out to the room and they chat and there's social media, and that's great. All that's fine. But taking an hour or two a day to pick up something and give it a shot is not the worst idea in the world. So one of the things I want to do with the rest of my career is not only focus on the day job because that is important, got to send the kids to college, but focus on this other side, those sort of softer skills and those ways for people to kind of come out of their shell and maybe realize that there is stuff to do besides doom scroll TikTok all night long. Um, but anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. If you need a book recommendation, you look for a particular genre, drop in the comments, throw me a DM. I don't care. I'll talk to anybody about this kind of stuff as long as you're polite and not trying to throw politics at me. But just drop me a message and we'll keep on pushing, the reading mantra. So everybody have a great day.